So I think there's, oh yeah, here we are. I mean, this is in the papers, but to be honest, the papers are very much secondary to all the clips we've got for you. Trump hails new autism drug, and he basically says paracetamol is to blame. Let's just go through. There's quite a lot with Trump yesterday. So this is him claiming that pregnant women shouldn't take Tylenol, which of course here is known as paracetamol.
Effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol during pregnancy, can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good.
I like the way he gets Tylenol. He claimed there are some exceptions where it is okay to take it.
But with Tylenol, don't take it. Don't take it. And if you can't live, if your fever is so bad, you have to take one because there's no alternative to that. Sadly, first question, what can you take instead? It's actually, there's not an alternative to that.
And he said you might have to push through. We had a clip of him saying you've got to just sort of try and tough it out if you've got a fever in pregnancy. Fever can actually be dangerous for a pregnant woman. He also said he had doubts over the MMR vaccine.
The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel, the mumps, measles, and all the three should be taken separately. And it seems to be that when you mix them, there could be a problem.
It could be a problem. He voiced concerns over injecting children with certain vaccines.
I think it's very bad. They're pumping, it looks like they're pumping into a horse. You have a little child, little fragile child, and you get a vat of 80 different vaccines, I guess, 80 different blends, and they pump it in.
Well, this is... I don't know what to say. I could see you were getting cross during that because it's not silly, actually. It's quite serious.
Well, it is because vaccines are a victim, if you like, of their own success, right? So because people are vaccinated, it means that we saw like measles, rubella, the R that he forgot about, you know, all of those diseases were basically almost eradicated. Now, by not taking the vaccines, it means they're all coming back now. You've got all these different diseases. But can I just say, the one paragraph that I think sums this whole up, so this whole thing up, is this. Mr. Trump hinted at the announcement on Sunday during the memorial service for Charlie Kirk.
I saw that, yeah.
So what, never miss an opportunity to land a deal? Is that what you're going to say?
It was a very strange moment because he said we've got a big one coming, and everyone thought, it was this announcement. I should say, by the way, the makers of Tylenol say there's sound science clearly showing that taking the drug does not cause autism. The UK Medicines Watchdog added that there's no proof that taking paracetamol during pregnancy causes autism in children. But the thing is, people will have the view, why take the risk, won't they?
Yeah, I think that's right. Look, you know, Donald Trump can be seen as a genius in many different ways, whether it's on the economy or whether it's getting people to stump up more defence spending in Europe or internet. You know, he can be heralded in many ways.
I've sensed the but coming.
Health is not one of them. And I think Don's absolutely right. You know, when you've got people who will follow Donald Trump, he's got a huge supporting base. If they start following this non-medical advice, then I think people will be seriously harmed. So it's not his finest hour, to put it politely.
Well, I mean, if you don't take paracetamol during pregnancy, you may have a fever that takes hold and the baby may be damaged. That's one of the thoughts. There isn't really any evidence. I don't see where he's got this from.
Go and see your doctor. He's got it from whoever it is that's making the drug that he's peddling instead. But ultimately, the advice has to be see a doctor, seek proper medical advice.
If you could see a doctor.
And just don't listen to this.
Yeah,
because it's dangerous.
Well, it's very interesting. They did say they would have an explanation for autism by September. They said that in February, and I thought, oh, that's going to be interesting. And then, sure enough, by September, they've explained it.
Really? So not what the preservatives and stuff that's put into food and the colourings that's put into food. So if that is the explanation, which there's scientific around that, evidence around that. So why hasn't that come out?
Interesting. So there's another element to the whole Trump world thing at the moment. Jimmy Kimmel, who was taken off air after sort of making a joke about Charlie Kirk and whatever, the assassination. It seemed like a bit of an excuse to get him off air, but he is back on air tonight, and that's in the Mail, Charlie.
Yes, and look, the whole debate has surrounded free speech, and is there one particular wing of politics, whether it's left or right, who seems to dominate or one wants to cancel the other? That's been a fever pitch of a conversation, I think, throughout the last certainly few weeks, certainly since Charlie Kirk's death, who was someone who had an array of views that I think changed over time, but some of them were quite extreme. But he took himself to campuses, he challenged people challenged him. It was about free speech, it was about open conversation. Jimmy Kimmel did make, I think, a crass remark.
Did he? No, wait. Did he? He's a comedian.
Well...
What did he say? He said Trump is mourning Charlie Kirk like a boy mourns a goldfish.
And I think...
Is there anything wrong with that?
Well, comedy is subjective, and I don't want to cancel comedians. I love comedy. But I think it was in bad taste, and I think you do actually have a responsibility. Free speech isn't actually free.
So when are you going to stop Private Eye being published? Because that is constantly transgressive,
But that is...
crass and rude and...
Sure, but you can, if you're into that, you can go and buy it. You don't have it on your national television screens day in, day out. There is a responsibility.
Because they're licensed now. I mean, that's the interesting thing. But Trump he's got his own guy in charge of the FCC, which does the licensing of TV. And this guy said at the weekend, we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way. And people said, oh my God, it's a shakedown.
Well...
and you think it's right?
The responsibility is up to the network and what they choose to do. They obviously stood him down. They've now reinstated him, maybe because of rating, because of the mood. And you've got to, if you're running a TV network, you've got to get the ratings. So.
I mean, I think ultimately it's not about sort of free speech or hate speech. It's about speech that a certain person doesn't like.
That's it.
And so then he said, well, I don't like that, and I've got the power, and so I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and that's problematic, because it has to be sort of uniformed, right?
You can't make jokes about Trump,
well, exactly.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to get cancelled. But I think people power is what got Jimmy reinstated, because people were cancelling the subscriptions, they were cancelling going to Disney World, they were cancelling all sorts of things, and at the end of the day, I think it shows people that ultimately you have the power. So don't think that you haven't got the power, because you have. You've got the power to walk away, and money obviously talks. Yeah,
it's so interesting. And also the funny thing here, which I'm trying to get my head around, is Trump's big thing is free speech. That's what Musk said.
Yeah.
We've got to have free speech. It's not, in the States we've got to... And then he comes in and he cancels people who make jokes about him. It's him, right?
Yep.
It's definitely him, because they lent on Disney. So I don't see how it helps him, because there'll be another comedian who makes even crasser jokes.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's difficult if you're a player on the pitch like Donald Trump is with his sort of views. But I do think there is just a conversation about, everybody has responsibilities, certainly around this table. We can't come on and say...
We're not a comedy show.
No, but it's national television, and Jimmy Kimmel has responsibility to.
If you're going to cancel, so then you have to have a line where you say, right, that's the line that cannot be crossed, and that's hate speech.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
But what Jimmy Kimmel did wasn't hate speech.
No, but there's the conversation around, somebody has just been shot in the neck and lost their life who was advocating free speech, and somebody felt that appropriate to make a joke about it.
Well, he made a joke about Trump. Yeah, he said that. Anyway, we'll have to move on, but that's.